Okay, so moving on. In this video, we are going to see that how we can make a post request to the web server that we created a couple of videos ago, and we are going to make a post request to that web server. The problem with the web server is that it doesn't accept just any data. It accepts on that particular route the JSON data. So let's go ahead and make a web request on that. Again, I'm using the Thunder client in case you don't know that. So what we need to do is we need to send the post data up here. So we're going to send the post. If we put it up at the get, it doesn't accept this data up here. It's going to get say, hey, I don't know what to do there. But if you just go ahead and send a post data to this, this is going to say, hey, the country is India, and seems like we are already sending some of the data in the body. We don't need to do that. Yes, you can technically send that. I haven't restricted that. But in case of the JSON, we need to send the JSON data. So make sure your form is empty, your encoded, that all is empty. We need to send the data in the JSON. Empty, you get the empty data back. If you send any data, then you obviously are going to get the data. So for example, if we go ahead and send this website as obviously learncodeonline.in, so we will receive this data back. So first thing first, we need to copy this entire URL because that's what we need to work on with. The second thing is we need to just go ahead and minify this or minimize this data up here so that we can make all this request. Okay, let's comment this out also. Now, a couple of interesting stuff that we don't have that much of knowledge to work on with. Whenever you are sending any post request, you obviously want to send some data, and probably that data might want to store into a database or something. But one thing is having a surety that some data needs to go in the backend. Now, how you send the data, usual cases are in the JSON format or in the URL encoded forms. In this one, let's take down the JSON. But the problem is we haven't yet studied about the JSON data much. So we will keep that into the future videos. But right now, I'll tell you a simple hack how you can generate some of the fake JSON payload or JSON data. Okay, so moving on, let's go ahead and create a simple function which is going to perform post JSON request. Okay, a little bit itchy throat, but let's go ahead and work on with. Okay, so this also needs to have a URL. So let's call this one as my URL, and that will be just like this. Okay, so now that URL is all okay, we need a couple of things to actually work on with that. We first need to make sure that we send to request to the correct URL. We also need to send or inform them that what kind of data we are sending with them. And of course, finally, we have to send the data. First, let's worry about how we can create some of the data. So this one is going to be fake JSON payload. Payload is another name. If you send some data, it's a pretty common word, so I won't be explaining that too much in detail. Okay, let's go ahead and call this one as request body. And that will be created by this strings. That's why I introduced you earlier this package. It's a really powerful package. And it has this new reader. And inside this new reader, you can create a new reading format. So basically what I'm saying is, if you come inside here and use these backticks, you can hit enter and you can create any kind of data. Like, this is the super cool thing about this new reader syntax. Now in here, I'm going to go ahead and use the curly braces, which is of course a JSON format. And remember, the JSON format that we are going to send via this way needs to be enclosed with the double quotes both way, before the colon and after the colon. That's the syntax. Let's go ahead and send some data. So we're going to go ahead and say that we are sending you the course name, which is, let's go with golang. Sounds like a decent name. Probably I'll keep it. And then separated by comma, we are going to have a price. Just like that, put up a colon, and this is an integer, so I can just go ahead and put up a data like that. And probably I'm also sending platform, and there we go. And the platform is going to be obviously learncodeonline.in. So now that my request body is all done, I can add more data, or however I want to configure, I have configured that data. Let's go ahead and now send the request. So after this one, we are going to go ahead and say use HTTP. Just like we have get, we have post as well. And if I go like this, notice it says you need to send me a URL, a content type, as well as a string that what data you want to send along with that. So it is stored inside the my URL. and the data or the type of data, the content type that I want to send. Make sure you're extra cautious about this, which is application/JSON. This is a really common mistake that everybody does, because when you send all of this, if you check out this header, this is exactly what I want, the application JSON. So this is kind of a data I'm pre-mentioning that, yeah, I'm bringing this one in. I am pretty sure, I'm quite aware of my capabilities of misspelling the thing, so I'm going to just paste it again. And the third parameter is the request body itself that you need to throw up. Now, obviously, just like always, it might give you a response if I mistaked response, or it might also give you an error. And there we go. Come on, there we go. So moving further, we obviously need to take care of the error. Let's just take care of the error. I usually, I wanted to skip that, but hey, let's go ahead and work on with that. So if error is not equals to nil, there we go. We are going to panic it out with error, and if everything is all good, we need to grab this response. So for this response, same stuff, IOUtil will read all the data, and it will come up from request body dot body. Come on, response dot body. My bad. Response dot body. And again, we forgot one of the stuff that before we read all of this, we need to actually defer the syntax for ending up all of this. So we are going to go ahead and say, hey, response dot body dot close. So everything is working nicely. Now, once this is all being closed, remember, this is exactly the same video, just like the previous one. So IOUtil is reading all of this. This will probably give me some of the content or will give me some error, and I can take care of the error. I'm pretty sure you can also. And once this is all done, then we are going to go ahead and just print it out. So funct print, and let's wrap everything around the string and content. So told you there is not much too much of a difference. All we need to worry about is, in case we are sending the post data, we need to worry about all the parameters, the URL where you are sending the data, the type of data that you are sending, and the request body itself. Handle the errors, defer, so that every request of the response is being closed. And that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and see how this is working out or not. So let's go ahead and say, I want to perform a JSON. And there we go. Make sure your URL is nice and easy, and you're 100% sure of that. Let's go ahead, open this up and see what kind of data we are receiving. Okay, so there we go. We send a request, and whatever we send the request to this our coded server, it just echoes it back. So course name, let's go with Golang. Price is 0. Yeah, that's nice price. And platform is Learn Code Online. So all the requests are going nicely. And just to give you a really fast summary of all of this, this is my content URL. We got a request body, and we created a fake JSON data to send it along as a payload. Post request, handle the error, and just display the content. That's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and catch up in the next video.